Hi, my name is Chris Maegli.
And what is your age?
I am 59 and I'll be 60 in about a month.
How long have you been lifting for?
Wow, that's a great question. I started lifting when I was 17 years old and I lifted for 10 years. Then I got away from lifting until I was 43 and I had a wake up call. And then I started back up again. And so from 43 to 59 is, you do the math, but that's how long I've been lifting.
And what got you? You said 17. So what got you started? Like what was the turning point?
So the gym for me back then was an escape for my family. My brother Mike, my sister Ann, and I, we got a membership to, it was the Aerobic Fitness Center back in the 80s. I graduated high school in 84. If you want to validate my age, that might be a way to do it. So anyways, we went to the Aerobic Fitness Center and they had the first generation Nautilus equipment there. And I just fell in love with it. I just loved training. And that's where I actually found peace. Coming from a family of chaos, that was peace.
Was there any point in time where you thought that maybe lifting was a bad thing in your life? Maybe taking away from any point, maybe when you first had a kid?
So what I'll tell you is this: Ben was 5 years old when I had my wake up call, and at 5 years old, he was fine without me because really what happened was when I started going to the gym. So I'll just give you a quick story. I was a good 50% body fat in 2009 on my birthday with my driver's license picture, and I had three chins and a watermelon face. And I went to Weight Watchers within 2 weeks. I was at Weight Watchers at work and dropped 20 pounds in about a month. Actually, what happened then was I was under eating, and they said, "Chris, you really need to be eating more food." And that's a common problem with people. They undereat and they get fat. And there's a whole science behind that. Quickly, I'll tell you, my body went into a catabolic state, and any food that I was bringing in got stored as fat so that it would save that for later because it was a catabolic state of undereating.
Did you think that lifting was ever a bad point in your life?
Was there a point in time when lifting was bad? In other words, lifting interfere with my family? And when I was 43 years old, my son Ben was 5 years old. They were actually sleeping in till 10 o'clock because my wife was a night owl. She had him up till 2 in the morning. And I just remember sneaking out of the house, going to Bally's Total Fitness. I had a membership there since I was 17 or 20, I think. But anyways, and coming back, and they were still sleeping. So I did that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I told my wife, and then she was up in the morning ahead of that. But it wasn't a bad thing. It was good to train. It helped me. Ultimately, what you're gonna find is if you train and you become a better version of yourself, you're gonna have better energy for your family. You're gonna find that your mindset has shifted and you have more energy for your family physically and mentally. You can just be there for them better. So I don't think it was a problem. I think it helped, if anything.
Was there ever a time in your life where you realized that food was kind of the culprit that was holding you back?
So you're talking to somebody who has radically changed the way he views food. I used to go, so we just celebrated Easter not too long ago. I would have been at all the chain stores buying marked down candy, Easter candy, the next day. I had a desk drawer full of candy, and I would have that all the time at work. So, yeah, it's changed.
You mentioned that there was kind of like you started when you were 17 lifting, and then you got back to it when there was a turning point. During that time in between, what was your life kind of looking like? Because I'm assuming you were transitioning, meeting your wife, transitioning into becoming a father. How was that for you?
So I got married when I was 33, just a few months into my 33rd birthday, and we had our son Ben 5 years later at 38. And by that time, so 43 is when I had my wake up call. Dude, if you want pizza, just have pizza. It's just the way it is. You're with your wife. There's no struggles anymore. When you're younger, you're looking for your a bride. You're looking to date, and guess what that means? You're going to be in shape. When you're married, you don't care anymore because you're not looking anymore. So, to answer your question, all bets were off. I wasn't focused on me. I was focused on my relationship with my wife. And if she wanted to do something that was involving food, I would go for it. Why wouldn't I?
Did you have any injuries while you were at the gym or outside of the gym that restricted you from being able to lift to your full potential at any point throughout your?
So that's a really good question. My injuries, if you want me to unlock a fear level for you, I will. If you do face pulls, right? I was doing face pulls, actually warming up at 200 pounds, and the cable snapped. Guess who was on the ground within half a second? Guess who hurt his tricep? Guess who was in Snap City? Snap City is much like Hotel California. You can come, but you can't leave. So it's a quick ramp. That's the next exit. That's Snap City. So if what I do now is when I do face pulls, I'm on the ground sitting and I pull, and there's no risk, right? Shoulder surgery, major shoulder surgery, which had me, was a freak accident. I was holding a ladder, and we had a branch that came down from a tree, and my brother-in-law was kind enough to get up there and saw, well, a log fell 12 to 15 feet on my elbow joint. Tore 3 tendons, put my bicep tendon out of groove. So have I really injured myself in the gym from any way that I trained? No, it's just freak accidents, cable snapping, log landing on me, things like that. To really fully answer your question, what's the best way? This, I think, is what you want to ask. What's the best way to prevent injury when you're training? Second set of eyes. That can look like a personal trainer. It can look like a camera. And you're getting reviewed by either a coach or you're looking at it yourself to see form. I had 5 personal trainers. And so my form has always been really, really good because I was challenged earlier to have good form. And then I lifted at a powerlifting gym for a while so I could really work on my squat and my bench. So none of my injuries have been form related, if that helps you.
So we touched a little bit about injuries. And by the seams of it, it seems like you've had a few unplanned. Not that any injuries are planned. But how did you overcome it? Compared to when you first started lifting and you got injured, to let's say you got injured lifting present time. What are the differences that you would overcome that?
So how have I matured in how I handle injuries? So when you put more miles on, as the years go on, you learn that, well, the Bible teaches delayed gratification, number one. Our society wants instant gratification, wants the next thing. That's why people are popping pills. They've been popping pills since the 50s, right, for quick fixes. So people do steroids. They just think steroids going to help them. The reality is if you don't have the discipline, if you don't have the diet in check, if you don't have the training in check, steroids won't do a darn thing for you, right? You have to have the discipline. You have to have the mindset first. Then that will work, right? So I will tell you this. After my shoulder surgery, I met Cole at physical therapy. A month afterwards, I had to qualify for that. And he said, we're going to get you about 80, 85%. And he's nodding his head up and down. I said, we're going to get me 100%. We're going to get you about 80, 85%. We're going to get me 100%. He looks at me and said, Cole, think bell curve, think median, think outliers and standard deviation. I'm an outlier. We're going to get me to 100%. And he was amazed. And actually, my treatment finished a month early. And I have 100% mobility. So mindset shift. So to really expand on that, positive mindset. You have to think that you already have it. You already know. You have to already believe in your mind that it's achievable. There's books out there. If you want to read a book called Transurfing, it talks about the world as a mirror, and it'll reflect back to you your thoughts. So if you are negative, you will always see negative in everything. It'll come back to you. If you are positive oriented, or said differently, if you know that you can and know that you will achieve, and you have that mindset, it'll just come to you. You'll just do it. That's your belief system. Have I answered that question?
That was perfect. So that actually transitions to my next. You touched a little bit about your beliefs. Was there a point in time where either they clashed or you had to choose one or the other, or maybe one didn't work for this issue, but this one did? Was there a time where you had to kind of prioritize anything different? What's your mindset on that?
So you have to articulate what beliefs are you talking about? You're talking about Jesus? There's no conflict with Jesus in lifting. Actually, honestly, if you truly want to know, before I lift, I pray that God actually lifts the weights through me. When you lift, you guys are going to see heavy weights here. When you lift heavier and heavier weights, you're going to start realizing it's not your strength, how weak we truly are as people. We're really spirits in physical bodies, but we're weak. We're weak. And that reminds me of it often. So there's no conflict. If anything, it's increased my faith.
We're going to change the direction of this. With your social media and clients, how have you learned about social media differently from about 10 years ago when, Facebook and Instagram was a kind of a newer thing and Facebook was already an established thing? How have you seen a change of social media now that you are an influencer now yourself?
How have I seen a change of social media? What do you mean? What are you getting at?
So the difference of an influencer back 10 years ago.
I mean, the
maybe,
influencers back in the day, this is when you're talking about David Lade and stuff like that. They set the current trend, which is actually becoming outdated, of just showing your bodies, just having really good physiques and showing your bodies and showing some lifting footage and stuff like that. That's not relevant anymore. People don't want to just see that. They have too much of it. Everybody has good physiques these days, right? So the change it boils down to, it's a fishing expedition. If you really want to know, if you want clients these days on social media, it boils down to trust. And I never, ever wanted to sell anything. I never wanted to be a salesperson. That's just something I just don't want to do. But I find that I have to learn about sales because there's no other way that I can broadcast my talents, right? So fishing expedition because I have to convey trust. I have to convey familiarity, and I just have to let people know who I am. And it's hard to do in a 6-second dopamine hit reel, truly, right?
So how many clients would you say that you have right now?
5.
When was the first time that you got a client?
Wow, I think almost a year ago.
Through the last year, and I know that you've gotten a camera yourself now, that you've got a lot.
So what's really weird is almost 60 years old, and I'm talking about content. Do you know how odd that is? That is a paradigm shift. That is just not natural. It's not normal. It is not anything that I would have ever thought would have ever happened to me. All you all younger, wow, that's pretty lit, guys. Let's just go for it. No. So that's the hardest thing for me. So how do I relate? I'm going to switch this up for you a little bit. One of the things that you guys, as you come along in age and as you grow older, you learn a lot and you have influence. The easiest example that I can give you is when your children are small, you're their influence as a parent. And then as they grow older, it's their peers, their main voice. And then as they grow older again, then it comes back around to you, right? As you grow older, in your 40s and your 50s, you have influence. 60s, less. 70s, less, right? 80s, not so much anymore. It's like, who cares? It's the forgotten people. I don't ever want to lose my relevancy, ever. So how do I combat that? Well, I've always lived counterculture, always. Never follow trends. I have a young mindset, if you will, always happy to meet new people, really invested in people. But the reality is with social media, I have to adopt the ways. I just have to conform to the patterns. Trust me, they'll know that I'm here because I will change things with my impact. It's just who I am. But does that answer your question?
Yes, that does. I also have another question about social media. What convinced you to want to even do social media? What made you want to do this?
All right. So we came from Ford's Church. Ford's Church was in Jefferson. It's now in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. And we were going over almost 75 miles round trip to go to Ford's Church. So now we go to a closer church. Kevin is the pastor of Forge Church, and he owns Metroflex. It was the first Metroflex in Wisconsin, Metroflex Wisco. And in that gym, he had a passion for Jesus. And so people were coming to church service and really being saved from the evil one in this world from their experience at Metroflex. So what I wanted to do was open up a gym at retirement. And retirement for me, formal retirement, 6-7 years, I'll be retired, right? As I'm being coached with my current coach, I see, wow, social media, worldwide opportunity, cost to entry, 0. It's time. Maybe a camera, but it's time. Cost to entry is time and a commitment. So that's what made me want to do social media. Because I have a lot to offer. I know, well, you guys are gonna start seeing more testimonials come from my clients, but there's life-changing things that occur, and why not just bring that to social media?
So they had a Gold's Gym that was in Waukesha. Do you ever miss that one? What is your opinion?
I didn't like that gym. Nope. It was too, I think they had carpet in it. What gym is gonna have carpet? And it almost seemed like fireplaces. They had nice brickwork in the gym. Why? No, a gym should be a gym. Hardcore. So I didn't care for that particular Gold's Gym.
Did you go to the Gold's Gym that was down in, what is it? Is that in Florida or was that in Texas?
I've not. No, the only Gold's Gym I've been in is here. I have a friend that lives in Tampa, and there's a Gold's Gym there that I think he recommends. And when I get down there, I'll try it, sure. But Metroflex and MKE in Waukesha, if that makes sense to you, that's a good gym. And a lot of people think hardcore gym. No, you guys are gonna find that the bodybuilders are really, really nice guys. They're nice guys. Yes, they're focused. Don't get in their way if they're ready for a contest because they're in prep and their heightened awareness on what they need. You can't. But by and large, just gonna be the best people you ever meet.
If there was a trend or something that the viewers wanted to see, was there any time where you kind of didn't want to go through with that? You kind of wanted to do your own thing, even if it meant, losing relevancy or of that kind.
Well, I won't do anything that's going to lose relevancy. So, all right, I hate Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I don't watch a lot of YouTube when I do its shorts. And on Instagram, I'm in and out. If I post something, I'm checking my stats. There's a few people I follow that I follow enough people, but there's a few people I watch, and that's it. I am not. How can I say this to you? In the other room is a cold plunge. And a year ago, December, is when I bought it and I started using it. TikTok, I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling at 58 years old on TikTok. With the cold plunge, if you guys want to break your habits, let's put this out there for you. If you want to fix to the dopamine, get a cold plunge. Why? Because what it's going to do is and do it in the morning. You don't want to do it in the evening for sure. It is going to give you a dopamine hit like none other, and you'll find that you don't need scrolling anymore. It just becomes a non-thing. I am simply, and I haven't done my cold plunge in a year, I am still not interested in scrolling. I'm just literally not, thanks to the cold plunge. So there you go.
So we're seeing all this equipment. This is my first time ever being in your home, and I gotta say it's beautiful. And I'm just astonished. Like, how long did all of this just take to just collect? How much money? How do you even get this equipment in here? That's just the first couple thoughts that I have here. And
no, how am I going to sell the house with the equipment in it, knowing that I don't want to take it out? My brother Mike says I have a heavy hobby. So a lot of this I got pre-COVID, and like the dumbbells here, 33 cents a pound. You're never going to see that deal, right? You're not going to see that. Again, simply won't. So the functional trainer behind you, I bought that in COVID. I needed it. My wife was in the hospital at the time, and I just needed a distraction. I think that was $2,300. This power rack was about $2,300. but everything else was a lot less than that. My friend from grade school, brought the pec deck from Michigan for me.
End up wrapping it up. Do you have any more questions?
No, we're all good.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys. Much appreciated.
Sweet.
All right.